Hey guys, LootWizard here with another video on Gems of War, and it is a new week. It's Monday, the game is reset, and as usual, as tradition, we're going to be going and taking a look at the Soulforge, what kind of weapons, what troops are available there to craft for this week, and we're going to take a look at the new troop here, Cogs of War, that is available in the Glory Shop, and then we'll go ahead and take a look at the current event, the Tower of Doom. And so let's get right into it. So first of all, let's go to the Soulforge because that's always a fun part. We want to go in there, see what kind of weapons and troops. For weapons, this first one here, Fire Sword, I don't think it's really that great. Deals a little bit of damage to the first enemy. It'll deal triple damage if they use green mana, but it's very situational, so I'm going to pass on that as I have before on crafting that. The Doomed Opus is a doomed weapon. That's for the event, so if you don't want to spend gems in the shop for whatever reason, you can craft it here, but it does cost 800 diamonds, 50,000 souls, and as you can see, there's quite a few resources it takes to craft that, so I would say it's probably better to get it in the event shop for gems because gems are easier to get than diamonds. And as for the weapons, we have two that are for the kingdom, the event kingdom that's out this week, which is the mech kingdom. There's two weapons here: the mecha axe, which I'll probably end up crafting because I collect all of these. It is one of those weapons where it generates mana for a particular type of troop, and this is the mech troops. So it will be doing damage, and then that will be boosted by mech allies. Create a mixture of red and blue gems for each mech ally. So I'll probably craft that, and they're pretty standard mana cost at 14. And then down at the bottom, there's another one called Drill Shooter, which I already have. This one is based on Adana allies, and that is the kingdom that most of the mech troops come from. But there is some troops that are mech, I think, that do come from a couple other kingdoms. So that's why there's two different weapons. One that's just for that kingdom and its troops, and then there's this other weapon that's just for mech allies. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and craft that, but these type of weapons, just really quick, my recommendation is to collect them if you can, because you never know when you're going to get troops that work really well with this type of a weapon. And the other thing to consider too is whether there is a class that is of the type of that weapon, because you're going to generate more mana using this type of weapon if your class is also this troop type. And we do have a mech class, so it will work the best with that class, this weapon that is. So let me just go ahead and craft it now. Why not, right? So now I have the mecha axe. And let's take a look at the troops next here. You know, sometimes I pass over. I have been recently passing over some of these summoning stone troops, but this week I think I'm going to go through them because there are sometimes troops that are hard to get in keys that do show up here. One of them being Aziris, which is a good troop for certain events and for soul farming, because it has that 50% bonus for souls. So taking a look here at the blue summoning stones, we have, there's a delve troop in here. Interesting. I think that's a delve troop. No, actually it isn't. It's just regular white helm troop. For some reason, I was thinking that was delve. Yeah, there's nothing really in the blue one that I could recommend going for. And for green, really, I can't recommend any of these either, except Midge Swarm is actually a really good low-level troop. It does, I think, a base of 13 magic damage when you first get it. Maybe it's a little less than that. It might be 11, 12, 13, somewhere in that range. But it does that scatter damage twice to all enemies twice. So right away when you get this troop at a low level, I recommend using it, because even when you're like level 100 or so, this troop still is pretty good. Later on in the game, there's no way to really increase its power that much, and it gets pretty weak. But early on, that's a decent troop. Of course, I wouldn't recommend using summoning stones for it, because it's a low rarity. You're going to get that by opening gold keys. For a red day, I can't recommend anything here, except maybe if you don't have this to mythic yet, you might want to try to get a few of these, just so that you're going to do more damage to a boss when the boss event comes around for this kingdom. Moving on to yellow. Nothing really noteworthy in here except Valkyrie, but again, that you can get that in gold keys. And yep, here it is, Aziris. Aziris is in the summoning stones for purple this week. This is the one I was actually talking about. And this is a troop I probably will use for the Tower of Doom event this week, because it uses red mana, and you have to make a team of all red except for your weapon. And I'm pretty sure I can use Mang and then use a couple of Aziris and maybe some other troop that will create skulls, and we should do quite well in the Doom event this week with that kind of a setup. So if you don't have Aziris yet, and you do have some of these extra purple summoning stones, now might be the time to go ahead and try to get that troop. Brown. Yeah, here's another one here. See, I don't even have this to mythic, so I might open a few of these and see if I can get this thing up there to mythic. Other than that, nothing really here grabs my attention to go for. So, moving on to the legendary and mythic troops to craft. The Spring Imp is a legendary troop that is available in the Soulforge this week. So if you're trying to collect these imps and you don't have the Spring Imp, now's the time to craft this guy, or this lady, rather. And so that's a legendary. We have Queen Isabel here, which is a decent legendary, but I don't recommend crafting any legendaries for 800 diamonds. You're better off saving that for crafting a mythic troop. So mythic troops are generally better than legendary troops. Not always, but generally they are, especially if you know which ones you want to go after. So looking here, we do have... Let's finish off the legendary troops. We have King Bloodhammer and we have Holy Saint Astra also for crafting. King Bloodhammer is probably the best legendary for this week. Holy Saint Astra is is a really great support troop. I like it. It adds life, armor to all troops, and if you have a human troop in your team, it will enchant that as well. So it can double as a mana generator plus adding life and armor to everything. So that's great. Now for the mythic troops here, we have Elamagram, which is a pretty good mythic troop. By itself, it's not fantastic, but in a dragon team, it's pretty amazing. If you have the Mace of Claws, I think it's called. It's a dragon weapon. If you do have that, that with the Dragon Soul in Divinia in this troop here is really, really fantastic, as dragons generally are pretty fantastic. There's a few dragon troops that aren't too great, but most of them are pretty good. Okay, so moving on to the other mythics here, we have Voice of Orpheus, which is also kind of a big support troop here. It does damage to an enemy, but it cleanses all allies and gives all other allies 5 mana. So that is a support troop. I wouldn't recommend crafting that right away, though. There's definitely better options that you can go for mythics. Suna is a really great mythic, and I think it's underrated by a lot of people. I've used it a lot. It works great in a lot of different situations. Um, and it's one of those troops that I like to use even sometimes in high levels of Explore. And I like to use the gold team where you have Greed, Cedric, and the Bronze Lock pistol, and then you add in one troop like this, and you'll generate so much mana for it. You'll cast it really quickly, and it'll steal so much life, and it steals 8 magic from the 2 strongest enemies. So you're just like, it's constantly stealing life, which makes it survive longer, and it's stealing magic so that the enemy doesn't do as much magic damage to you, and that means that it'll also steal more life the next time you cast it. Its last trait is a Fairy Fire, a random enemy when matching red gems, which will allow it to steal or do damage of 50% more, so it'll steal even more life from those that it Fairy Fires. Also, it is the lowest cost that a mythic can have, which is 20. So Suna is definitely a great mythic. It's also a divine, so if you do combine it with the legendary troop divine Ishbala, you can get this thing to start with 40% mana for probably around like 12 mana cost. You can get this thing started up pretty quick. So that's a mythic troop right there. And Queen of Sin is also interesting. It deals 30 true damage to the first 2 enemies, and it summons Wrath or Lust, and then it blesses all demon allies. And its traits are a little bit interesting here. The final one: enemies lose 4 from a random skill point when an ally casts a spell. Now, if you're casting a lot of spells, it will do quite a bit to the enemy, but I wouldn't rely on it. That's for sure. It also has the lowest mana cost for a mythic troop at 20. So there's that. So, but the 32 damage to the first 2 enemies, stealing life is always better than just raw true damage, but this is still significant because it can summon Wrath or Lust. And the summoning those is not dependent upon whether you kill an enemy or not. It will summon one of those. And that's if there's an empty spot. So I think the Queen of Sin does have its usefulness in certain teams. But this is how I would rank the mythics that you can craft this week. And that is, I'm going to say Suna is number 1. Number 2 is Elamagram. And 3 is probably going to be Queen of Sin, and 4 is Voice of Orpheus. Simply because Voice of Orpheus just is more of your support troop. Even though it does really well at support, I don't think that it's something that you should craft before crafting mythic troops like Suna or Elamagram. So yeah, that's pretty much my recommendations there for the troops that you can craft. So yeah, let's move on to something else. But really quickly, before anyone forgets, Aziris is here. This troop is right here in the purple summoning stones this week. If you don't have that troop. Because it is, I don't know if it's an epic or an ultra rare, but it's a little bit more on the rare side. So you do have to spend quite a few glory keys or gem keys in order to get one to finally drop for you, unless you're lucky. But you can get this fairly easy right here in the purple summoning stones this week. It only costs 50, and 50 of these jewels and 100 souls for each troop that you craft. And you can move this up to 5, 6, and obviously it'll cost more souls and more jewels, but you can move these up however you want and then craft. And you're not going to craft Aziris for sure doing this. These are how many troops of all of these in this list that are going to get crafted. So it's a little bit random, but it narrows down the RNG a lot, because you only have, let's see, you only have 8 troops here that it can pull from. So your chances of getting Aziris is pretty high. That's good. All right, so moving on here to, let's take a look at the glory shop. And let's get our spoils of war here first, and then we'll take a look at those troops, the new troop. So this is the new troop here. I thought it was War or a Cog of War or War of Cog or something that was in the news that I had there on the front page, but the name here looks different. P4. I think this is like geek, how you spell panther. That's what I'm guessing. I don't know. I could be wrong. But it's only a 13 mana cost, and we have some skull reduction here, 25%, and a 20% chance to dodge skull damage. So that's cool. Now, for its ability, it says it will deal true damage to an enemy, and there's a 10% chance to kill them boosted by their armor. And it is a 5-to-1 boost ratio, so a fifth of their armor is going to be taken as a percentage, I think. If I'm not mistaken, that's how it will probably work. 10% chance to kill them boosted by their armor. So basically a fifth of their armor. Yeah, I don't quite know how that's going to get calculated, but that's interesting. So this will actually work pretty well for level 12 Explorer difficulty, because the armor is pretty high on those enemies. You might be able to use this troop and pretty much just lethally kill most of them really quickly. So it is a mech, it is a beast, and you have ways to get mechs and beasts to start with 50% mana. So you could bring this 13 down to about 6 mana that it starts with. So this might be a really dangerous troop. We're going to go ahead and purchase enough to get them to Mythic. And it only costs 6,400 glory to do that. Going to go ahead and grab that. And let's go upgrade it really quickly. Let's type in P4. Upgrade. We'll ascend it all the way to Mythic. And we'll unlock this. Level it all the way up to 20. There we go. Now the only thing is I only have one of them, so let's go buy another one here really quickly. Glory, yeah, let's just buy one of them. It's 400 glory, and I'll be able to have 2 of them then, just in case it might be really powerful, and I'll want to put 2 of them in one team. So yeah, let's just grab that second one. Looks like I am able to upgrade my kingdom here because of that troop. That's nice. Yeah, looks like I might be able to get that powered up to a power level 11 here. But yeah, anyway, so that's the new troop there. Yeah, let's check out. Oh yeah, first of all, I wanted to mention this really quickly, that the event kingdom this week is Adana. So if you want to get some of the mythic troop, Tina 9000, for it's part of this kingdom. So if you are missing that troop and you want to get a chance to go for it, it's going to be in event keys all this week. And if you want to find out which troops are in those event keys, all you got to do is go to the kingdom. I don't know why I'm scrolling down because it's right at the top. And do show all, and you can sort by base rarity. And so these are all the troops here that are going to be in those event keys this week. Tina 9000 is the mythic troop, and we do have a couple of legendaries here. Karnax, Dracos, and Tesla. Tesla is a fantastic legendary. Works great in a lot of different delves and events. So that's something to take a look at. So we might actually, there's a couple of teams I'm thinking of for the Tower of Doom event. We have, I'm thinking of using Mang and Aziris, but I'm also thinking of using like a triple Tesla with the Shield of Urskaya maybe. There's a couple of things I'm thinking about with that, but we'll get into that in a second. So yeah, Tina 9000 is available in the event keys this week. So if you want that, go ahead and try for it. You can see the percentage chance by clicking on this question mark in the blue, and you can see that your percentage chance of getting mythic here is 0.11%. Legendary is quite a bit higher, but yeah, that is the chance of getting a mythic troop, and I believe it's slightly higher than gem keys. So yeah, gem keys you're looking at 0.10% basically. So it's just a little bit more of a chance to get a mythic troop with those event keys. So yeah. Alright, let's take a look at the event here quickly. Tower of Doom, and it is the ultimate Doom of Flame. And so it's all red. And in the shop, as I was talking about earlier about weapons, here is the Doomed Opus. And you can get this by spending about 450 gems. So we're going to go ahead and do that, because I always go up to the point of getting the weapon. And there we go. Now I have the Doomed Opus. And I am 450 gems poorer. But I got a lot of, got that weapon, and I got a lot of sigils here, which we're going to be going through the Doom Tower, and we'll be able to get some rewards. All these good rewards here in the Doom Tower. So there's vault keys. Vault keys are always great because you can get Cedric from that. If you don't have them yet, that's where you need to get them. And of course, Orbs of Chaos are also highly sought after. And finally, the Major Orb of Chaos. So let's take a look here at what team I'm going to select. Now, early on, it doesn't really matter because the enemy troops are such a low level. They have low life, low armor. It's going to be pretty easy to beat them no matter what team you choose. But for purposes of this video, I want to show you maybe a couple of teams that I will be using once I get much, much higher. So let's go ahead and build a couple of those teams right now. We're going to go ahead and pick Mang, because Mang is awesome. As for troops, we have to choose something that is has red in it. So there's lots of options, but ultimately what you want is something, since we have Mang, you want something to generate mana, something to create skulls, all of that sort of thing. So for skull creation, I'm going to use Aziris. Probably going to do 2 of him. He's going to give that bonus to purple, which will make it fill up really quickly because it's only 6 mana. And what it does is it will transform a selected mana gem into a skull. So the situation that happens a lot in Gems of War is you'll have 2 skulls and you won't have another skull to do the 3 match, right? But you'll have that in a lot of situations, and with Aziris you can create a 3 match skull by just transforming a mana gem into a skull. So it's great for this sort of event with Mang. Now we just need some sort of mana generator. So let's go ahead and see what mana generators are available for the color of red. So we have Divinia, which we could use yellow for a color there that it won't block. Or we could use something like Marilith here, which will add a bonus to red, and it will also destroy 25 gems. So that's a possibility as well. You could use Harpy Mage, which would create a Dust Storm, which would be good for Mang. We could do that. Now, Divinia would be good because it gives life to everything and cleanses it. And so that's pretty good. But I think I'm going to start with a Harpy Mage just because it's going to explode everything. You got Ragnagord too. If you do have that, that's also a good mana generator, but it's got the exact same color as Mang. So that might not work so well. And of course you got something like Deep Bore, which will destroy a column and it will generate 9 brown gems here. And it's immune to Devour and all that good stuff. So there is a few options here for mana generators. You do have Egg Thief, but of course that's generating mana based on how much gold you have. So yeah, there's a few options here that we could go with. But you know, that right there is a team that I would say is pretty good. Is just do double Aziris, Harpy Mage, Divinia for the cleanse and for healing everything. You know, so you got some options there. Just giving you guys some ideas for teams that you could use later on in the game, in the event once things get much more difficult. So there's that team, and then also the team that I was thinking of as well is you could do a Shield of Urskaya, because this is going to add a lot of armor to a certain troop. And then you could take Tina 9000 is actually a red troop, so you could do that. And then you could do Tesla. Get rid of that brown. And Tesla's in here as well. So you could do something like this, and you could cast the Shield of Urskaya here on itself or on Tina or one of the Teslas, but the Teslas will be doing true damage boosted by all ally and enemy armor. So that would be a way to kill everything as with a team like this. Now, if you don't have Tina 9000, then you know you could substitute it for really any other red troop that you have, because that's not important. The Teslas are what's important in the Shield of Urskaya, because that Shield of Urskaya is going to boost your armor, and then Tesla's damage will be increased by that armor boost. So if you don't have Tina 9000, it's not the worst thing here. Tesla is the main component of this team with the shield, and you could throw any other red troop in here, like Divinia if you wanted to, just for some cleansing and some mana generation. Or you could find a different mana generator in here for brown or for the red or blue color of Tesla. And yeah, so those are a couple of teams that I suggest for higher levels. I think there's probably other teams that'll work, but I'm going to be playing with those 2 teams probably. So that's a heads up on what I'm doing. And yeah, that about wraps this video up. I think we covered pretty much everything from the Soulforge to the new weekly troop, the event, all that stuff that's going on this week. And yeah, I do apologize if my voice is a little bit crackly and my eyes might look a little different or something. I've been dealing with a lot of allergies lately and feeling kind of sick, so I apologize if my voice is a little crackly and all that. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching as always, and leave a like if you like this video, and if not, you can always hit that thumbs down button. If you like these videos a lot, then please consider subscribing to my channel for more content like this. And I'll catch you guys on the next one. Later.